Hello guys, it's Sakuems. Welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, hello, my name is Emily. I'm a French artist and YouTuber. In this week's video, I'm going to do another speed paint with watercolors, markers, and pencils. And I want to talk about a topic that I wanted to talk about for a while, which is basically what is being original and artist being genuine or authentic versus using references and not being actually any original at all. Jumping into the process and the topic of discussion, so I have included in the beginning of the video basically my reference board, and if you'd like to know exactly where is it coming from and everything, I do have a Pinterest board. I will link it in the description below. This is my Pinterest board for my art inspiration. I have a lot of pictures, a lot of drawings, paintings. Pinterest is just amazing for references. You get to see everything you would like to see. And what I really love about Pinterest is that when you click on something you like, you have pictures that are similar to it. And I literally spent 2 hours searching for things on Pinterest because I wanted to find an idea for the video. And I kept just adding more stuff to my art inspo. Oh, this is nice, this is nice, this is so nice. And like, oh gosh, some people are so talented. Anyways, so I have done this research, and then I've selected a couple artworks and paintings and photos. Sometimes I add artworks, sometimes I add just patterns, sometimes I do add actual photos of people, and then combine everything, but it's mainly art. Anyway, so I've combined that on my Photoshop, so I have my spreadsheet and everything, and I did the sketch that you just saw in the beginning. So I wanted to do a different video for this week. I wanted to do a mermaid, but it took a lot more time, and because it's a full view of the mermaid, I actually wanted to do that on a bigger artwork, so I've changed my mind pretty last notice, and I had just one day to make the video, and because I am very slow at making decisions and making art, I've actually didn't get the chance to finish the speed paint for yesterday, which is my usual upload day, so sorry for that, but still managed to make something. So what I did is I basically the mermaid art, I will do that for like probably in 2 weeks or something, and I've scrapped the idea and I tried to find something new to do. So this is called Natural Cosmos. I just had in my head to do a landscape oriented artwork. That's the first thing, and I wanted to have either galaxy hair and something quite mesmerizing and ethereal, which is what I usually do anyways. So that's that's my idea in my first input. So I've used my reference board, and what I did is I actually sketched that on a piece of paper, and then I tricked everything on Photoshop, and I printed and I traced it. So that process took about 2 hours. Now if you'd like to see more of my process before coloring, so the general like brainstorming, sketching, everything like that, I can include that in my videos. I didn't for this one because it took a lot more time, but I'm not sure if you prefer yourself, when you watch my videos, if you prefer the entire process from the blank page to the actual like finished product, finished artwork, or if you prefer maybe if I separate the video, like do a sketching type of video and then the coloring. Or is it okay if I just skip the boring part of finding the idea? I don't know. Usually it's pretty boring. It takes a lot more time. And then it in the video, in the end, the sketch that took me like 2 hours, you probably like see 30 seconds. So I don't know. Just let me know in the comment section if you'd like me to just keep the full process, or if you like this format with just the coloring. I would love to know that. So that being said, the topic of discussion, I want to quickly mention the process of this artwork. I have used Canson l'Héritage, which is a hot press watercolor paper. This is a very smooth paper that is cotton based, and I really like that where I combine watercolors with markers, because the texture of the paper is more gentle with the markers. So what I did is I wet my paper, I protected the character and the butterflies, I wet the paper, and then I did my wash of blue, not blue, I've used pink and yellows. Then I added a bit of blue, and then I let it dry, and then I removed this masking fluid thing, which is art masking fluid by Winsor & Newton. I removed that, and then I jumped into making the galaxy hair, and I tried to stay close to the colors. I've used mainly blue, pink, yellow, and a tiny bit of turquoise, and that's about it. Like a dark blue, but it's basically it. And yeah, so the process took about 4 hours for the coloring. I did pretty much the entire shading with watercolors, and then I let it dry completely. I removed the paper from my board, and I've used my copic markers just to add a pop of color, because my watercolor tended to have just to fade a tiny bit. I didn't have a very neon pink and very bright blue, so I've used my copic markers to do that. I've used it's B79, which is my very dark purpley blue, and then I've used RV04 for my neon pink, and I've used a blue, like a dark blue liner for the entire inking process. And the last thing that I did on this piece, you see after in the video, I basically did the highlights with my white cherry roll pen, and yeah, so it took about 4 hours. Now, there's not a lot to say about the concept. I just wanted to create another one of those portraits with very mesmerizing, kind of fantasy looking artwork. I really like the outcome of the face. I've tried to create dimension on it. I also tried to add a bit more, I don't know, I'm trying to be a bit more instinctive and open and not get too, not to overwork things and get into details as much. I still can't do that. It's still very detailed, and I feel like it lacks a tiny bit of abstraction, I suppose. So it's still a process, but I will get there. Still, I feel like I have made some progress with this piece, but I mean, I like it. It's just that it's maybe too polished for me. So we'll see how this goes in the future. This is a new chapter for me. I'm trying a lot of new things with my art lately, so we'll see. But anyways, let's talk about the topic. So I would like to just quickly mention, disclaimer as always, this is just my take on the entire OG artist / references / who is original or not type of topic. I feel like a lot of artists are way too sensitive and way overprotective of their own style or their crafts. And I mean, I've been to art school, and I know that it's not just a cliche. There are people who think that they cure cancer, and they're amazing artists and talented and creative and everything. And I feel like, they just really think they're so amazing people. And I mean, it is true that some artists are very talented and they do have a lot of ideas, and the way their brain works may differ from other people, and being creative is a gift, I think. But in the end, I don't think it really matters that much, and I don't think we should be so defensive and ashamed of the process. I feel like sometimes I'm almost not ashamed, but I feel like I can't tell you that I've used references. I can't tell that I've traced parts of it. I've used, for another artwork, I couldn't really see how I knew how I wanted the hand to look like, but I couldn't draw it, and I didn't find a reference for it, so I took a picture of my own hand, and I traced it, and then I've changed everything, and then the entire process evolved from that, but I still used a direct reference, and I didn't do it by hand. I suppose I didn't really spend 30 minutes struggling making something that only is 5% of the artwork. And overall, just the entire process of making an artwork, I feel like we shouldn't argue at all about having references or copying from stuff or whatever. It depends on the intention, I suppose. It is pretty hard. It's a fine line to have an inspiration and a reference versus copying or using someone else's content. I think that it's pretty easy to pinpoint the authenticity of an artist if you compare someone who basically is literally plagiarizing an artwork, or if it's someone who is using other content as an inspiration and it then creates something that is somehow not new and not original, like I said, but it's still a new take on that assemble of references. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay. And I also think that there's nobody nowadays, it's the 25th century, not 25th, it is the 23rd century. Nobody is original anymore. Nobody can create from nothing. No artist is actually that visionary or extremely talented enough to invent from nothing. We all have internal library of content because we nourish ourselves with stuff, whether it's art related or not. So with that knowledge, then you can technically draw from imagination. What I don't like the term itself, because I can draw an apple from my imagination, but I know how an apple is made, so I'm not making that up. I'm using an inner reference that I already have embedded in me. But if I actually want to draw a certain kind of apple with certain colors, I will need a reference for that. And so I think it's a matter of just not really caring too much about the process itself. I think what matters is the intention of the artist. Like, what is the point of that? Why do you use that? What is your... Yeah, my take on that is I'm going to create something that makes me feel happy, that I suppose that can share emotions and some sort of feelings with it. And the aesthetic overall is important to me. Who cares if it's original or not? Who cares if it's new or not? Who cares if it looks like someone else's work? I'm not that cocky or confident or vain enough to just be like, hey, this is Sakuems, I'm so original, I'm so new to this, I'm doing things that nobody is doing, whatever. Not at all. I've actually can find countless of artists who are pretty similar to what I do. And this is still different, I feel like, because this is me making it, so of course it's still my stuff, I suppose. And there's a tiny bit of me that is, I suppose, still original, because the intention and my personality, because I'm my own self, I'm the only one of me. Of course, it shows in my artworks, but in general, there's not that big of a deal when it comes to style, when it comes to how you color, when it comes to how you mix and match your references and everything. What really is important, I think, is just how it's made in the end, and like I said, the intentions of the artists. If I show the same exact reference board to other people, you can show that to 10 different artists, and they will create something completely different. So yeah, I think there's not really any discussion to have. I don't know what you guys think about that. I just feel like sometimes artists are just too sensitive and overprotective about the process. They don't really tell how they do things. They don't really tell that they use references. They are very defensive about the fact that they may have used other people's content to create something new, or that they draw from life, or they draw from I don't know, from observation, or I don't know, studying stuff. And there's the entire genre of just pet portrait artists, or people who are actually trying to replicate reality in an artwork. When your sole purpose is to actually draw from reality, of course you have references. Like, this is just a non-topic, I think, but I wanted to just talk about it in this video because I am just so sometimes fed up about having to justify how I do things. And it's not like anyone is asking me to do it, but I think I have accepted that it's okay to not be super protective about the process, and to be like, no, I don't need reference, I want to invent my own thing, I want to do this my own way, whatever. it's only making it really harder to create anything. It only looks worse than if I have a reference. And I'm actually not very proud of what I'm doing. So what's the point really, just to be like that? No, there's no reason with that, because even though I use references for this, in the end, the only thing you see from the reference board is probably just, well, the butterflies and like the face structure and overall just the hair. This is what remains. The rest of my references are pretty much hidden and transformed by my style and the way I color things. So it is still a unique piece of art, but it's not original and it's not new, and there's nothing really like tremendously life-changing thing inside this. So yeah. It sounds like I'm not happy with what I made. I'm actually really, really proud of this. I wanted to just talk about the process. Like, it really doesn't matter. If you're wondering yourself, like, is it okay? I have people in my videos asking me like, is it okay to have references? Like, what do you think about that? I'm like, yeah, of course. Everyone is using them. If you know someone who's telling you, hey, I've done that without references, he or she basically are lying to your face. They may have not used a direct reference, like an actual picture that they drew from it, but they do have their own knowledge in their head and they get access to that. That is still references. Nobody is drawing from nothing. The only OG artists were like in Lascaux Cave. And even that, they drew from actual real life. Painting or drawing, by essence, feel like it's not original in any way. It's from reality, or it's from dreams or shapes and combining colors, and it is still a creative process, but there's just no such thing as not having references. Nope, it's impossible. I don't know what you guys think about that. Do you think it's possible to actually draw from nothing, like to have no references? I don't know. But yeah, I still enjoyed working with that a lot, so hope you will also enjoy the process. If you have any suggestions for future art talks and topics just mention it in the comment section. I will talk about that. And as always, like I said, the piece is available in my essay store, and I will also have that in my next coloring book that will be released in September. And yeah, if you like the video, don't forget to give a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more of my content, I post every weekend, so don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you next week. Bye bye, guys.